Hello and welcome to JSB Talks Digital, the podcast for marketers, digital transformation champions, and those of you bringing your skills into the digital age. I'm Joanne Sweeney-Burke, and this podcast is brought to you by Digital Training Institute. Well, welcome to episode 78, my 2017 Christmas special of the podcast, which is guaranteed to be full of Christmas cheer. A big welcome to everyone tuning in live on Facebook, or if you're watching later, the replay, or indeed on YouTube. You're all very welcome to this behind the scenes episode. Coming up in today's show, in social media news, I share my social media predictions for 2018. Bobby interviews Santa Claus, who joins us live on the phone from the North Pole. Kathryn Mason, who's joined me from Dublin, asks JSB in a special interview. In Shoutouts, the people around me who make Digital Training Institute so awesome. In JSB's column, revealing plans for 2018 and find out what social media tool saved my working week. So you're all very welcome, and it's great to have you tuning in on Facebook. Make sure you leave your comments and your questions, and we will get to them a little bit later. You will see that I have guests in studio. It makes a change. I don't always. I'm delighted that Bobby is here, and Bobby has taken some very valuable time out of school to be on the podcast, but it's very important that we have him here because he is Santa Claus's target market. We also have Kathryn Mason, who is a big fan, may I say, of JSB Talks Digital, and she's come from Dublin today, and we'll talk a little bit more with Kathryn later on. And maybe can I just check to make sure that we have Santa Claus on the phone from the North Pole. Santa, are you there?
Hello, Joanne. How are you today?
I'm great, Santa. Thank you so much for joining me on JSB Talks Digital. Now just keep warm and keep holding on to that hot chocolate. We will be back to you shortly.
No problem.
So let's get to social media news. This week, I want to share with you my 2018 social media predictions. I recently contributed to an expert voice roundup blog post by the great people at Talkwalker. They asked 10 digital marketing and social media experts to put out online their predictions for social media in 2018. So I shared two of mine with the guys at Talkwalker. Number one, I spoke about newsjacking. So a successful newsjacking campaign can produce enormous results in terms of increased website traffic and brand positioning. But social monitoring is required if you are going to have your index finger on the pulse of what's making news and what's captivating the interest of the internet nation. Choose your newsjacking opportunities wisely, and you must ask yourself, is it right for my brand to step into this conversation right now? You don't want to damage your brand with a misjudged newsjacking that backfires. So my second prediction for 2018 is the rise of advocacy marketing. So advocacy marketing is a tactic that will rocket brands into a new digital stratosphere if they can leverage the power of their online community. So JSB has been building her online community by virtue of this podcast, my blogs, and my YouTube videos. This form of organic marketing sees the customer stepping into a brand advocate role with product or service reviews and recommendations which drive leads and increase sales. My friends, your community will do the marketing for you if they trust you and believe in what you do. The smartphone has revolutionized consumer behavior. Did you know we're now lifting our phones up to 200 times a day? Maybe a little bit more for JSB. And mobile will continue to dominate search, but conversions on mobile will also increase because of advocacy marketing. My final prediction for 2018 when it comes to social, and not in the Talkwalker blog post, is watch out Facebook Watch. Facebook Watch will grow in dominance as it tries to take more of the television advertising spend. And I predict that we will see Facebook collaborating on a more formal basis with content creators, but also with traditional media outlets. Okay, so that is social media news. And now I am very excited to move on to the interview. And I know that Bobby and I haven't had much sleep because we've been so excited to speak to Santa Claus. So Santa, join back in, and you're so welcome to join us on JSB Talks Digital podcast. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing good. Really, really good. Oh, it's been so busy over the last few weeks trying to get everything ready.
So for those of you who are loyal and repeat listeners to JSB Talks Digital, you will be aware that I had Santa on last year's Christmas special podcast. The feedback was amazing, and the YouTube video of the interview was played in schools across the world. Santa, thanks for coming back once again. But I know that you're really busy, but I've managed to reach out to your virtual assistant to bag this interview because everybody wants to know how I managed to get Santa on my podcast.
Well, can I just tell you, Joanne, I was thrilled when my virtual assistant messaged me to say that you had been in touch. I took a selfie with Mrs. Claus. She watches last year's JSB's Talk Digital special on YouTube all the time. She even has it bookmarked on our Apple TV.
Oh, I love Mrs. Claus, and I think we might be having her on the show in 2018. But this year, Santa, I have a special co-host joining me. Bobby is in studio today, taking some time out from school, but I should point out that he is going straight back to school after this interview. And Bobby has some questions for you, Santa.
Oh, hello, Bobby. How are you today?
I'm fine.
Lovely to talk to you. Are you being good?
Yeah.
Good man. Oh, lovely.
So I'm going to ask you these 8 questions.
Oh, you have loads of questions for Santa.
So the first one is, how do you get down the chimney?
I get asked that quite a lot, to be honest with you, Bobby. My magic Santa suit shrinks me to fit down the chimney. Have you seen the sizes of the chimneys in China?
Well, yeah. Question 2. How are you still alive after 2,000 years?
Oh, well, now let me tell you. I am Santa, and I live forever. I live for the children of the world so they can experience the true joy of Christmas and celebrate our traditions, their traditions and our traditions with their families. It's a very, very special time.
Question 3. How does your suit still fit you?
Well, Bobby, are you suggesting that I have a bit of weight on me? This suit grows with me and shrinks with me. I told you that, I think, already, didn't I? It's absolutely magic, it is.
Well, you wouldn't find a suit like that in a shop.
Oh, no, it's specially made by the elves.
Question 4. Why do you live in the North Pole?
Well, I live in this place. I live in the place where nobody can access me. Mrs. Claus and all the elves. Otherwise, we will be inundated with selfie requests from parents and children begging me for toys all year round. But also, it's because my reindeers and my elves also live here.
Well, the postman can reach you, but he doesn't really want to say hi.
No. He just delivers the mail, and Mrs. Claus and all the elves, they help him with all the bags of letters that we receive all year round from the good boys and girls.
Question 5. How did you find all the reindeer?
Well, now, why I chose the North Pole to live in is because it has lots of reindeers. Many, many years ago, I had interviews to search for the top 9 reindeers that would be accompanying me around the world every year. So as you probably know, I have Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen, who lead the sleigh right across the world. Did you know that the name of the magical flying animals came from a poem back a very, very long time ago in 1823 called The Night Before Christmas?
Wow, that must have been a long time ago.
A long, long time ago.
Question 6. How did Rudolph get its red nose?
Oh, yes, the most famous rave. We forgot to mention Rudolph, didn't we? Well, Rudolph's legendary luminous red nose, which helps to protect it from freezing during the sleigh rides and to regulate the temperature of the reindeer's brain, factors essentially for flying reindeers pulled by Santa Claus's sleigh under extreme, very, very cold temperatures.
And, question 7. Did you get my letter?
Why, yes, Santa. Why, yes, I did. It arrived from Ireland on priority post only today, I must say. You live in Barna now. Now, don't you?
Yeah,
Don't you
I
live
do.
in Barna? You live in Barna. Yes,
Yeah.
you do. And I have it now, and the elves are busy working away on your special delivery.
So, this is the last question.
Okay.
Can you give young people some good advice about cyberbullying?
Oh, yes, I can indeed, Bobby. And it's very important, very, very important. So I hope all the boys and girls are listening into this. I am so glad that you asked me about this. Cyberbullying or being mean to people is not very cool. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Bobby, did you know that being really mean to people could result in breaking the law? So, don't be mean online, and if you can't be nice, don't be naughty. Google will remember your mean comments forever. And remember, I know Google very, very well.
Okay, so that's all the questions that I have.
Oh, Bobby, are you all ready for Christmas?
Yeah.
I see. I've heard that you wear loads of lovely Christmas jumpers as well.
Yeah, I do.
Do you like them? Are they nice and warm?
Yeah.
I have a lovely jumper as well that I wear around here in the North Pole, and it's a lovely blue jumper with, one of the elves made it, and it has an elf on it, and it has a load of little balls that jingle and jangle every time I wear it as well, and it's really fun to wear, and it's lovely and cozy as well, especially up here in the North Pole because it gets so cold.
It must sound really cool.
It is,
Good.
and it's lovely. And it's a magic jumper, as you say. It shrinks to fit every time I put on the weight. And over Christmas, it can be so busy. And then on Christmas Eve, when I'm going around with all the presents for the boys and girls, do you know what I have to do? I have to eat all of the mince pies and all the sweets and and loads of milk to keep my energy levels up all the way around the world. So will you leave some out for me this year?
Yeah, I will. And it must take a long time to brush your teeth.
Oh, it does. I actually bring my little toothpaste and my toothbrush with me when I do my rounds. And even when I'm on the sleigh, I'm able to brush my teeth just to keep them nice and clean.
So, thanks for answering all those questions.
You have a lovely Christmas, Bobby. And remember, go to bed early now on Christmas Eve. And tell all your friends, you can be able to tell your friends today in school that you were talking to Santa Claus. Won't you?
Yeah.
Good
I
man.
will.
You have a lovely Christmas, okay?
Okay. Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Santa, thank you so much. And I know that Bobby will share this interview with all his friends and they will be delighted. But I have some other questions for you. I mean, after all, this is JSB Talks Digital. So I need to ask you some social media questions. Is that okay?
That's fine, Joanne.
So last year we discussed how useful social media is to communicate with parents and to see what's happening in houses. But I want to know, because social media is moving so fast, what's your favourite social network and why?
Oh, I have loads of social networks that I really, really do like, Joanne. There's so much out there on these social media platforms that, we have to really, really narrow down and look at what we do and understand what it is that, where we want to be. I do like a little bit of Facebook, and I love a bit of Instagram as well.
You're always talking about children writing their lists, and it even is featured in a famous Christmas song. But Santa, are you building your list? Your email list, that is. We know how important it is to converting prospects into customers.
Oh, we do, yes, and it's very important. Let me see now. Could you ask me that question maybe again, Joanne?
So, you're asking children to write their list, but you must understand how important it is for you to build your email list. Are you building your email list of all the parents so that parents contact you and make sure that they email you with the list?
Oh, they do. Yes, I do. Yes, it's very important for us to do that because, it can be so important for things like that to be able for us to keep an eye as well on our mailing lists as well.
Okay, my final question, Santa. I've been following your social media updates and I love your use of the behind the scenes with video. But when are you going to embrace stories? And I mean Snapchat and Insta stories.
Oh, Joanne, I'm so busy with all of the social networks and the long list of channels. But I do hear a lot of young people like stories. So I will also be taking the advice and using Snapchat and Instagram in 2018. Joanne, it's a really powerful digital knowledge when it comes to, growing your audience as well.
Well, Santa, thank you to you, to Mrs. Claus and to your elves and to all your new virtual assistants for all the excellent work you do. And from Bobby and from I and from everybody here at JSB Talks Digital, can I wish you a very Merry Christmas and a relaxing New Year?
Oh, yes. And so thank you so much for inviting me onto the JSB Talks Digital. Joanne, I've been watching you as well all year long, and you are a very, very busy lady as well, aren't you?
Yes, Santa, I am.
Oh, you are, yes. And that I think, because you're so busy, I think, people are really starting to want to work with you. Maybe you might even work with President Trump in the White House.
Oh, Santa, I would love to work with President Trump in the White House. And when you're delivering your letters via the White House on Christmas Eve, then maybe you can pop an extra letter in Mr. Trump's bag and say that, JSB Talks Digital would be available for some Twitter advice, perhaps.
Oh, maybe. Yes, you might need a little bit of help there. But, there's nobody better to be able to help him than yourself. Because, Joanne, you have done some fantastic work over the year. And we really, really do we see all of these things, Joanne. And we really do keep an eye on everyone and making sure that they're all on the good and they're not on you're on the good list and they're not on the naughty list.
Well, Santa, I'm getting a bit embarrassed now with all those compliments, but thank you so much. I'm probably going to take those credits and put them on my new website in 2018 because who better to get a compliment from than Santa Claus? So thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. And Bobby, we'll see you soon. Okay, so happy Christmas, everybody, and happy Christmas to everyone who listens to the JSB digital program. Okay?
Bye, Santa.
Bye. Bye. Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Whoa, what can I say? I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling a little bit excited and overwhelmed. Yeah. Was that awesome, Bobby?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
That was really cool.
Special?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. All the effort that I put into JSB Talks Digital.
It doesn't go unnoticed. You see,
Yeah.
Santa sees everything.
Kathryn, we always talk about consistency.
We do.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to shoutouts. So in this part of the show, I give shout-outs to individuals, organisations or brands that are remarkable online and worth talking about. But today I want to give shout-outs to the people in my world and in my business who make Digital Training Institute the company that it is. And first I've got to say a big, big thank you to my clients. So those organisations and individuals that invest their money and their trust in me and my team to deliver the work that we do. I always say to my clients, thank you so much, because not only are you helping my business, you're actually giving me a new opportunity to learn, because if we're all honest, we all learn from the work that we do. And in the fast moving space that is digital marketing, we really need customers and organisations that are willing to transform digitally. And of course, that's really my focus this year and next year, digital transformation. And this was also the year that JSB got to work with Google, the god of the internet, and their training partner Avado actually found me on Google, which is kind of interesting. So I've had some fun time in the second half of the year delivering Google's mobile masterclass to their big clients right across Europe, and I'm looking forward to more of that in 2018. It was also the year that I worked with the independent commercial radio sector, and I know that Kathryn also does some work with that sector, and it's traditional media trying to transform also and leverage the power of their radio station to give them a strong digital presence. And I've been over and back to Brussels, as you've seen from my Insta stories and from my Snapchat and from my Facebook updates and from my tweets. And I guess that's my old political background, my political comms background coming into play. So working with their press advisors and social media managers on digital skills. But without my team, there really isn't any JSB Talks Digital, because I can't do everything on my own. I need the support of all the good people around me. And those people are Sophie, who is also my daughter and Bobby's sister. And she kind of left the nest this year, which we're sad about, aren't we? Yeah, we miss Sophie a lot. But even though she's in Dublin, and I wonder, is she watching? Will we wave to her? Hi, Sophie. Are you watching us from KPMG? Maybe not, because you probably should be working. But if you are, hello. Hey, see you next week for Christmas. And Sophie is brilliant. So Sophie is now a trainee chartered accountant, and of course she works on the account side of the business. Jamelia, who is my little South African find. She's currently in Melbourne. She said that she would try and stay up to watch this. It's midnight right now in Melbourne. So Jamelia, if you're watching, hi, how are you?
Hi.
And we want you to come to Ireland soon. It's been too long. So Jamelia found me 7 years ago in Letterkenny in County Donegal and arrived into my office after Googling some potential places to work, and she's been with me ever since, and she's gone right across the world. I've stayed in Ireland, and she's the backbone of my business, and I wouldn't be without her friendship or her business skills. We also have Marie from Cork, Marie Collins, and Marie did a lot of work with Digital Training Institute this year, a super social media smart lady and a dream to work with, and her business is DigiPulse Marketing. I'd also like to say hello to Owen, and maybe John will pan the camera to Owen. Owen is the famous person behind JSP Talks Digital, the podcast. He's my extra set of ears, and he's also great with the pronunciation advice when I'm not really sure how to pronounce a word or a name. And he also edits my bloopers. And we're going to have some more of those in our Christmas special, the best bits for 2018. So thank you to you, Owen. I love doing my podcast, and I love coming into the studio and we have our podcast time. You're a dream to work with. Steve is in Kildare, and he edits the JSB Talks Digital vlogs. Again, a super professional to work with, always great for the advice, and a brilliant part of my team. We have Janine, who's in Donegal, and maybe she's tuned in. And Janine is a total expert in branding and in design, and she's also doing lots of digital design right now. And she's currently designing my second book. Well, my second business book, but my third book, because Bobby and I wrote a book last year, didn't we, Bobby?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. So hi, Janine, and happy Christmas to you and your family. And you're always such an important part of my team, and have been for many, many years. Interestingly, Janine also branded my wedding 10 years ago. So that's how we first came into contact. Then we have Patrick, who manages the technical side of my website, make sure that if it ever goes down, he gets it back up. And then finally, we have Senan, who works on SEO and all the good stuff around search engine optimization. But not really finally, because we have John, who's behind the camera at the moment. I'm not sure if you want to flick it around to yourself. That's his thumb. And John's actually produced some of my online videos this year, and he's got lots more to do. He doesn't know that yet, but he's got lots more work to do.
You can see his face now.
And then, of course, Bobby's been excellent for coming on the podcast. And I'll let you into a little secret that Bobby will soon be joining Digital Training Institute, and he will be working on social media, but specifically on which channel, Bobby?
Mine.
Yeah, on his channel.
Fine.
He's talking about his new YouTube channel, yeah? If he gets one. But he's such a super YouTube expert, and I think that us older people need to listen to what younger people really want. So that's a big thanks to my team. I don't just get up and make everything fabulous. It's really down to all the hard work that they do. So thank you guys. And that's my shout outs for this episode. Okay, so let's move on. And this is the special Ask JSB section of the show. So normally I usually bring the voice of my listeners onto the podcast where they can ask me a social media or digital marketing question, and they send it through my website and I get the MP3 file in my inbox. So about 6 or 7 weeks ago, when I was planning my Christmas special, I put a shout out on my social networks and I said, what would you like to see or hear on my Christmas special? And this beautiful lady sitting to my right responded, and she said, well, Joanne, I'd actually like to interview you. And I was like, wow, that's a really good idea. And I said, yes, please. And here she is. So please welcome Kathryn Mason, who runs an entertainment PR agency in Dublin. And katherineMason.ie is her website. And I am, I guess, handing the power of my podcast over to Kathryn, who is now going to be the host of the show for a little while. Over to you.
Hello, and thank you, Joanne, for having me on the podcast as well. I remember replying to you thinking, she's probably going to think I'm mad. And I thought, no, actually, I'm an absolute podcast addict. I've had this discussion with you. And the one thing that I always find with podcasts is missing is there's some great hosts, but we never get to actually talk to them. They're interviewing other people all the time. So I said, you know what, I want to hear some more from you. So,
and listen, we met each other virtually first through the podcast, and you emailed me. And then 2 weeks ago,
very randomly,
we were in a radio station. I was late. What's new with JSB? Probably because I got lost.
It was a train. No, it was a train was late because I was sitting there having a meeting with the person you were meant to be meeting, and he was going, oh, Joanne. I never put two and two together. He kept saying Joanne. I was like, all right, Joanne's late on a train. Yeah. I'm sure I'll just keep talking to you till then.
And there I appeared in late.
I was like, oh, it's Joanne.
Yeah.
And she was looking at me going, it was complete out of place.
Yeah.
I was in with a client doing a radio interview, and he was kind of looking, what's going on? It was a bit one of those surreal, virtual, real moments.
It is when you meet your virtual friend in real life.
Yes.
It's a special moment.
It's a special moment.
So you love podcasts, and I love that fact.
I love podcasts. I mean, how I found you, I was actually thinking back, and it was around this time last year because it was the special. It was the Santa special last year was the first time I heard the podcast, because I just love podcasts. I love the whole idea of them. I love that they can be so focused, that you can be really in depth on something. I don't mind, like I listen to a lot of American ones, and I have to say I don't mind the ads. I know some people kind of say, I love podcasts because you don't have to listen to ads, but I actually quite like, because the American ones are really quirky when you hear these random ads for like bed linen in the middle of a podcast about, politics. But it's fun. But I really like podcasts, and I don't think they're being done enough in Ireland at the moment. And I remember looking for some good European ones in the digital marketing landscape, and guess what? Who did I find? JSB Talks Digital. And I listen every week since.
Yeah, and thank you so much for that. Because,
I've picked up so many tips, but also all of your, your apps that you maybe have talked about. I didn't know about that one. Wave is my new favourite app.
It's recently awesome.
That was so good, because especially for what I do, it was perfect. I was like, how did I not know about this?
Well, thank you. So I'm I'm in danger of asking the question, so you're going to have to stop me. So I'll let you go on.
Pin her down there. Don't let her ask a question, okay? You're in charge of pinning her down. So what I thought we'd do is we'd do a little bit of just a JSB bit, then we might do a bit about trends, and then we'll kind of do a bit about the media as well, and ask a little bit about the media. So, highlight interview for this year. Who was the person that you couldn't wait to talk to and lived up to the expectations?
Well, it's one of the most recent ones that I did, and it's Amy Schmitter-Landino. I've been a huge fan of hers for a number of years. I got her book, Vlog Like a Boss, for Christmas last year because I struggled with developing my own style and voice on video blogs. And I just loved her backstory and how she came to be doing video. And she's self-taught, like a lot of us are. And then I had the opportunity to go to Youpreneur Summit in London, and I heard that she was going. So I actually reached out to a friend of mine, Vicky Taylor from the UK, who was spending some time with Amy and her husband Vincenzo, and Vicky kindly introduced me to them virtually, and I got to meet her, and she was so lovely. She came on my Snapchat to do the teaser, and then she did the interview. She also did a little piece to camera for Bobby, knowing that he was a big YouTuber. So she lived up to all my expectations, and huge respect to Amy.
Excellent. So one of the other things that I really admire about you, because I feel we're quite similar in where we're staged at in our businesses at the moment as well, and we've kind of been having these conversations. And what this year, you've been big with your masterminds and you've been going to a lot of business conferences. So what, be it on or offline, what has been your biggest learning for 2017?
So the biggest learning that I'm actually, and I did take action is that I can't do everything myself. If I want to transform my business, I have to let go of the reins and I have to get more experts in and around me. Napoleon Hill is famous for, I guess, introducing us to the concept of masterminds and coaches. And he says, all the best sports people, business minds, performers, entertainments, they all have coaches. And it was the year that I finally got myself a coach. In fact, I got myself 2 coaches.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I will tell you about a new coach that I'm getting in 2018. So for me, it was being comfortable in the knowledge that I don't have to know everything or to do everything, and that I need somebody else that I can follow. Because when you're in business, it's very lonely and you're leading. And you know what? Sometimes I just want to follow.
Yeah, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. And I admire that. And I think it's the way to go. It's the future, as they say. Now, one of the other things I admire about you is you are so organised. Or at least you tell me, no, you are organised. I got my lovely schedule and it's so organised and everything is really well done and you like a process. What is your biggest productivity hack that you can let me in on to help me?
Okay, well, I love organisation because it takes the overwhelm and the anxiety and the fear away from running your own business. So the biggest productivity hack that I can give you is write a list of priority. When you learn to prioritise, you will get rid of the other ancillary stuff that is just taking up your mind space, taking up your workspace, and taking up your business space when you're not earning money. Learn to prioritise and write lists. And if you
now,
don't
are you a physical list or are you a computer list?
Oh, no. I write my lists on Evernote. Yeah. It's my favourite app.
I love Evernote.
And I know exactly what I have to do in every day. And more often than not, it gets done. And then I relook at that list for the next day and I move things around. And I don't allow myself to procrastinate. Okay? Prioritisation. Don't procrastinate.
I need to listen to number 2.
Put your 2 feet forward and get it done.
Fair enough. Now, you mentioned earlier on, I do some work with the radio sector. I look after the PR and the social media for the IMRO Radio Awards, which I love working with radio particularly, and I know you do too. What is the piece of advice you keep giving, particularly radio, and that they're still not quite doing?
Well, the simple thing is, are you podcasting your shows that you have on air? Because you cannot make people listen to your radio station. The era of actually telling consumers what to do has gone. So low-hanging fruit is to podcast the shows that you already have on air and give them ample amplification online through social.
Okay,
so that's the first thing. There's the second piece of advice, and that is create original content for online only. And we have to follow what the customer wants. Because when you step into the online world, we know when you run a radio station, you get a geographic license. There is a big line around the geographic area in which you can broadcast. You step into the internet world, your audience is global. So you've got to zone in on the niche subject and the consumer. So I think 2018 might be the year where we start to see more online only content from
and do you think that's going to bring them it's a whole new kind of concept for them to they're effectively running two medias. It's not just radio anymore, so it has to complement.
It does, and they have to understand that it is two media and they're both very different. I mean, they're content creators. They understand storytelling. They understand what a hook is. They understand how to build an audience. So they have all of those skills. They have program directors. But you see, programming in radio is very linear. But when you get into the online world, it's not like that. People choose what they want to hear when they hear it. So there's a bit of time and effort required in research and in researching their exact audience and understanding what the pain points and the emotional triggers are.
Well, that brings me on to then, who is getting it right, in your opinion, and who could be doing a little bit better, maybe?
So I really like what the Washington Post are doing, and I know it's not an Irish example, but there's a lot of content there that's not just that you're going to see in the newspaper. They've really delved into the niches, and now it's quite acceptable. I get their notifications into my inbox every day, and now I'm kind of in tune with what's happening and what they're saying, and I kind of feel a bit more empowered about my political or my global voice. But they haven't, excluded me from it. They've included me. And I think they've changed their thinking. And paywall isn't the answer to everything. And I know that the
monetization is a hard one. But
it's a hard one.
Not,
but you have to invest before you can recoup. And as business people, we know that. Who's not doing so well? I'm not going to point the finger at anybody in particular. But I do believe that there's a massive opportunity for the radio sector. They are sitting on gold. I think they're 90% there. Understanding the world of digital and how the internet works. Being a bit more confident and taking a leap of faith and actually talking to the people in the station, because you might have a producer behind the scenes who has a really great idea for an online piece of content that they might be able to front, because there's more than just the presenters who are on air. So I think it's an opportunity waiting to happen. I just want to mention the work that Learning Waves are doing.
Indeed.
So they're providing what they call great radio training to the independent commercial radio sector, and that's run by Teresa Hanratty.
Who is a legend.
She's an absolute legend, and she is like the driving force behind one massive industry, and she is already cutting the cloth there.
Well, she's brought yourself in, and I know she's worked with Glenn Mulcahy as well from the Mojo side, and I think what they're doing is what's badly needed. I mean, a lot of the stations have teams, which is great, but they still need to up. And it's been amazing, even in the last couple of months, I've noticed that every time I have a client going in now, every station, big or small, are all filming it for YouTube or filming it for their Facebook Live, or they're doing something with it now. Literally, I'd say the last 3 months I've seen a massive change.
And of course we have Off the Ball, the guys from News Talk who have launched their Off the Ball sports breakfast show exclusively for Facebook. So that's an example of creating content and leveraging one of the big social networks.
Okay, so moving on to trends. Now you see trends. It's a love or hate thing really, isn't it, sometimes with trends. What is the trend from 2017 you'd like to see more of in 2018?
So I think that we're now finally beginning to understand social because of personalization. We're not just creating broad content and hoping it sticks. People are actually zoning into their niche, or if there's Americans watching, to their niche.
Never get that one.
It's all about personalization. Don't think about the big vanity numbers and trying to go viral with like 3 million views. Understand your audience and create really good quality content that excites them, and they will keep coming back for more. So more of that personalization and not so broad-based.
Brilliant. And this is the one that every year, it's the year of video. Because it hasn't been the year of video the previous year. And imagine videos suddenly become popular. Bobby, did you know it's the year of video? It's the one trend every year they go, it's videos year. Is it not just always videos?
You're absolutely right, and it's getting a bit old hat now, but it's how we use video. And one of the big trends of 2017 that I think will also grow in 2018 is where people are creating like mini shows, mini series, where you tune in almost like the Netflix of the social world, but you're fronting it and you're telling a particular story. I love what Michael Stelzner is doing at Social Media Examiner. The Journey, wow.
It's very clever.
Getting an insight, and it's so brave into he wants to build his business by 60%. We're watching him week in, week out. We know it's the biggest social media event in the world, social media marketing world. And guess what? We love the fact that he's human like us and he struggles as a marketer.
Totally. And I mean, it's for anybody who hasn't watched it, you should really do, because it's so honest. I actually thought for the first one or two, maybe he's just putting that on. But now I've realised, no, it genuinely, he is kind of going, I've got to sell this many tickets. And I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's great. So mini-series on video.
Okay. And then what was the trend from 2017 that was just overrated and really was never going to work? And what would you think people have been pushing, kind of saying, oh, it's going to happen this year? I know what mine is.
Oh, tell me yours while I'm thinking.
You see, I have this issue with augmented reality.
Okay.
And the only reason I have this, I don't know, I don't see yet. And I know I'm probably wrong in it, but I just haven't seen how it's going to change the way that they're talking about. I just, yeah.
So I think then it's because augmented reality hasn't become mainstream yet.
Yeah, maybe.
That's probably why, and maybe not enough of people or brands are using it. So let me think about my 2017 trend that... What was the question? Wasn't a trend?
Well, the one that you think is a bit overrated.
Yeah. I think everybody's saying that you can sell online and it's really easy and you just like set up a website or a landing page and then it works. No, I mean, there's a lot more that happens behind the scene. And for me, it's about building that authority, credibility, that community of listeners, people who believe in you and want to be part of what you're doing. And if you start with the money in mind... Yeah. Then that might not work. One of the biggest opportunities in the digital space is what we call the mid-funnel, where you bring people in not to buy or to book, where you bring them into a micro moment where it's right for your brand to step into it and you're helping them out. Yeah. So I think rethinking how we're building businesses and selling online, that conversation needs to shift a bit next year.
Great. Okay, so the quick fire round.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to mention a social channel and I'll give a kind of a little nudge of a direction. So, Twitter, cluttered or not?
Twitter has got very busy, and especially since they increased the character limit to 280, it just means that there's more and more of the stuff that we don't want. I like their new algorithm update. It means that I have a bit more control over my Twitter feed. But yes, I've noticed a lot of people dropping off and going in and spending less time on it. Yeah.
Guilty. I just found it was really difficult because when you see all the, the such and such liked that, it's, you kind of go, I don't need all that as well. And it was completely irrelevant stuff. I do miss Twitter though, because I quite liked it.
The hashtags are the best bit about Twitter.
Yeah,
you can follow specific conversations.
Yes. Instagram. I'm just warning you, I'm an Instagram addict. I love Instagram. That's nearly up there with podcasts. Is it going to get bigger and bigger?
Yes, it is. Instagram is going to continue to grow. It overtook Snapchat in monthly active users in the first quarter of this year. Snapchat are really struggling. Instagram, of course, have emulated and made the features better that Snapchat had, but also it's the discoverability and the fact that you can reach a really, really broad audience. I love the fact that wherever I go and I use the location hashtag, that people from all over that location are looking at my stories and then we're connected. So I think Snapchat being a very closed network ultimately might lead to its end in some way.
I think as well, like a lot of people have been kind of moaning about the hashtag, that you can follow hashtags. I think it's a big advantage for social media managers because if you're running an event and you're going to follow a hashtag, it's making life so much easier. I can see that perhaps for the general public, it's going to be a bit hit or miss. I followed a few the weekend. I probably unfollowed them as well because I kind of went, there's not a lot that I want to see yet. But it's still early days. So
it's early days.
We'll see. Facebook. Is the algorithm killing it?
Okay, so I had the opportunity to meet Facebook about a month ago in Brussels at an event they held, and I managed to get myself an invite, as I do. And I asked them about the algorithm and organic reach, and they said, you know what, Joanne? Things have not changed.
Really?
They said, we've always asked you as in, me, as in all of us.
Why wouldn't they?
All of us to create content that their community want. And if you understand your people enough, that content will get to them and will get through the algorithm. They did make an interesting point, and they said, you know, when people go viral and they have a spike in their engagement levels, they said that is not enough. A once-off spike and going viral once is not enough to break through the algorithm. They like to see a consistent curve.
That's fair enough.
Going like this. So I think it's back to basics for all of us when it comes to Facebook. But no doubt we have to pay to play.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Snapchat. Now, is it finding its niche, particularly in the age group? Do you think it's going to stick at a younger... I'm looking at you, Bobby.
Bobby likes Snapchat, don't you, Bobby?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby really likes Snapchat, and he's been on this podcast before talking about it. I know that a lot of older people have jumped on Snapchat, but again, the discoverability from a marketing point of view just didn't happen. And I've noticed that Snapchat influencers from Ireland and across the world, they're also jumping platform.
They are, aren't they?
And I think that says something in itself. I think the problem with the return on investment, the metrics, and the fact that it's so closed is proving a problem. They've also jumped into the hardware line and spectacles, and that didn't take off. They made them too exclusive.
And it was one of those things. It was a gimmick.
Yeah,
you know, it's not. Yeah, I agree, and I think the big difference, again, from coming from a social media manager point of view, you can give some analytics when you're dealing with Insta, and particularly the influencers. They can actually go to brands and go, "Here's proper," instead of just a screen grab of something, which is great. Now, the one that I've actually fallen back in love with this one because I kind of just ignored it for a long time. Pinterest.
Yeah, Pinterest. Interestingly, one of the top 2 social networks to bring traffic to your website. Yeah. And because I have known this for a long time, I will always share my blog posts on Pinterest. So I have very different boards for my podcast, for the different social channels, etc., etc. And that is bringing me traffic. Do I hang out there a lot? I probably don't. However, there's a large female audience that is hanging out there. They've introduced advertising on the platform as well. And the thing about Pinterest is you get a very loyal community, a very niche but loyal community.
I was listening to, I can't remember now which podcast it was, but it was, I think it might have been Michael Zelsner. And he was interviewing Jenna Kutcher, who's Instagram mainly, but she was talking particularly about Pinterest. And I think, did she say it's the 3rd biggest search engine?
Potentially.
I mean, it's massive. And I actually was thinking, I'd never thought to look for a blog post. But then when I started looking, I realised it's
What's the first thing you do when you go to Pinterest?
Yeah.
You search.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, yeah, it's kind of opened my eyes this summer. It's been like, wow, this is not what I was kind of thinking. And then the final one, LinkedIn. Is it losing its professionalism? Because I've noticed a lot. Now, I know you've had some good viral, which is great, but I've noticed a lot of very personal stuff going up from people that really I'm kind of going, that's more Facebook. And also, I don't know about you, but I'm getting some really random requests.
Yeah. LinkedIn, and I've seen some influencers jump on LinkedIn, and the reason that I think they are is because I believe they think it's untapped and they want to go in because it's less crowded. I've really been enjoying LinkedIn this year only because I know there's a particular audience niche of mine who will not see me on any other social network but are seeing me on LinkedIn. So I'm being strategic and I'm talking to them. Yes, I have seen a lot of that personal stuff go up and you can have an opinion either way. But for me, I think it's about having a business conversation with another business professional and trying to create that relationship that might extend into something else. Pulse is also excellent for sharing your blog posts and sharing some of that long form copy. So don't underestimate that. And of course, this year they introduced native video. Finally, I haven't been doing so much, although the videos that John produced for me have been doing quite well there. So I think I'm going to leverage the video feature a bit more next year.
Excellent. Well, thanks to LinkedIn, I'm here today, so we can finish on that. And thank you for letting me interview you, because I mean that was brave in itself.
Thank you.
I didn't tell her the questions, so she didn't know what I was going to ask her.
No, and I think that's the best way, so that people can instinctively.
So it was very brave, though.
answer the questions. So Kathryn Mason, thank you so much. And to find out more about Kathryn, you can go to kathrynmason.ie, and that's KATHRYNMASON.ie, and she's all over the social networks as well. So that's JSB's interesting column for this week. And now it's time to move on to JSB's column. Sorry, that was Ask JSB. I'm getting confused on my own show. And so what I want to talk about now is some of my plans for 2018. As Kathryn knows, and as all of you now know, I absolutely love a list. So I've been listing out my priorities for 2018, and I wanted to share some of them with you. So in 2017, I went through somewhat of a digital transformation, and I moved into the sphere of working a lot more with marketers who are in the public sector. So that's politics, and that is policy, health, education, and also policing, which has been a favourite topic of mine for a number of years. But next year, you're going to see the relaunch of digitaltraininginstitute.ie, and that's going to be more niched and more focused. So digital marketing for marketers in the public sector, but I will still keep my toe in the media sector as well. Yeah. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm writing this book, and Kathryn said, how's that book coming along? And I was like, oh, yeah, the book. Well, the book is going to be launched on the 19th of April, 2018. I'm putting it out there because if I don't, then I mightn't get it written. And I need to take some of my own advice and prioritise the book. I love writing longhand and freestyle in front of my laptop. So the book is going to be a big project for me to get finished. I'm also going to be launching the JSB Talks Digital Academy. That might not be the name, but I'm definitely launching a 12-month academy, because what I've learned is that people hire me, they work with me, I work with them for perhaps a half a day, or 2 days, but they're not actually getting the full value. So I'm going to become their coach, their mentor, and also their teacher, but they get all of that. And so if you're a marketer that really wants to elevate in 2018, you're in the public sector, and you think that your digital skills need elevation, then you'll want to look out for my 12-month academy, because I will take you to the next level. I want to take you where I am. And that's essentially what I want to do. A lot of people say, oh, you're good at the personal branding and you're good at content creation. But there's a lot of excellent marketers out there who I believe need to elevate themselves and make themselves known. So I am doing that. The other thing that I'm doing is that I'm joining a new mastermind.
Oh, tell us more.
Yes, so I am going to be joining the round table introduced by Chris Ducker. Ooh. So yes, there's 12 of us in that mastermind. It was an application process, so I managed to get through. I mean, who wouldn't want JSB Talks Digital in their mastermind?
Of course.
And that starts in early January. And I have Chris, another exclusive, on this podcast, either next week or the week after. I need to talk to Owen about our schedule. But I'll definitely have him on the show before Christmas. So I'm very excited to announce that. And I will, of course, be bringing my own clients into the digital age and continue the digital transformation work with them. So that's some of what I have planned for 2018. But I always have an open mind because I love surprises.
Yeah.
Every day, is going to bring me something new. And
I think that's the thing with business. You have to
have an open mind and see what opportunities come their way to me. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are on to the second last section. Me and Owen are looking at each other because we're used to the jingles, isn't it? Instinctively, we're waiting for the jingles, but we don't have the jingles today. But we will have the jingles on the edited.
We're not performing them.
On the edited show.
Just to say, myself and Bobby aren't performing
them.
No,
absolutely not. So now it's time for Social Media Tool of the Week. And I pause for the jingles. I'm so professional, Owen.
So professional.
So professional. Thanks, Bobby. So the social media tool that saved my working week this week is the Google Analytics URL Builder. For those of us that are producing, publishing and sharing lots of premium content, it's vital that we understand the role social plays in amplifying that content and getting us that valuable warm web traffic. So the Google Analytics URL Builder is a free Chrome extension, and it lets you quickly craft UTM URLs for your social posts without having to leave the page. So I know you're asking, Joanne, what's UTM tracking? Well, campaign tracking simply allows you to add code to your URL, so www.digitaltraining.ie, digitaltraining.ie/JSB Talks Digital. And then you tag it with a piece of code, and that will allow me to identify how users are getting to my site. And I will see that information in my Google Analytics. And to get it, simply Google Analytics URL Builder Chrome extension. Okay, and it's time to wrap up the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 78 of JSB Talks Digital, the Christmas special. Thank you so much to my guest, to Bobby. Say bye to everyone.
Bye.
To Kathryn Mason, who came the whole way from Dublin.
Bye and thank you.
And also to Owen, my ever important producer who keeps me and my podcast on track. As always, I have everything discussed on today's show on my award-winning podcast, digitaltraining.ie. Be sure to subscribe to JSB Talks Digital because I have some news. Owen, I didn't even tell you this. We are now on Spotify. JSB Talks Digital is now on Spotify. So when you're listening to your favourite artist, whether it's George Ezra or Ariana Grande, make sure that you throw some JSB Talks Digital into the mix. And of course, we are on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and also on Libsyn. If there's a topic that you'd like me to discuss on the show, please get in touch. You can tweet me to @tweetsbyJSB. You can snap me to JSB Snaps. On Insta, I'm JSB Grams. And of course, you can check out the Digital Training Institute Facebook page. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in live via Facebook or who are watching the replay. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. We would love a thumbs up. Bobby is going to share this at his school. And if you're a school or if you have children, make sure that you share it because I think Bobby did an awesome job at just age 8 undertaking his very first interview. And finally, a big, big thank you to Santa Claus, who gave us his time from the North Pole. Well, that's a wrap. Oh, is he still there? Hello? He's gone. I thought we might have had him, but he's gone back to make your toys, Bobby, thankfully. So everyone, thank you so much. I am Joanne Sweeney Burke. This is JSB Talks Digital. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.